Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse. I'm your host, Paul, joined with Angela.
Hi.
Jay.
Thank you.
And Chandler.
Hello.
I'm so excited.
And Domino.
And Domino. Yeah, she's...
Yeah, can't forget Domino.
Can't
forget
Domino.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's been a while since it's been the four of us that have been able to record.
Yeah.
Small, like, little life stuff gets in the way, but real excited. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, life is silly like that. I think it's like
Beating
that.
my ass.
Yeah, what's like that Lennon song?
Wait, what?
Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Something in my ass.
Oh.
That's
I says life is beating my ass.
Oh, I was like,
I thought
something
it
in
said
my
it was
ass.
eating your ass.
In my ass.
It's like
Like, I didn't know if it was a good or a bad thing if life was eating your ass.
I think that's a pretty good thing.
I don't know.
I'm not into it.
I don't know.
Depends on your take on ass eating.
I just don't know if I would like it.
I'm not gonna try.
Like and like for both. I don't know if I want to be giving or receiving.
You never know
Yeah.
until you try.
It's true, but
Ass
some
eating.
things you just don't want to try.
Give it a go.
Oh, God. Toast salad.
Oh my god.
Boy, is our next conversation going to be interesting when
I know.
Angela's
I hope my mom's listening.
Mother,
She is our number one fan.
Oh golly. Yeah. So apart from wow, just like old times.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
I'm excited. I don't know about you, Tree, but I'm excited to talk about the Joker because we're doing our Joker review right here, right now.
Thank you.
Right here, right now.
Thank you. Sorry. Sorry.
All right, so how do you guys want to... So, obviously, spoilers ahead for people that are listening. If
Yeah.
you haven't seen Joker, I mean, it's been fucking a long time.
Spoiler
since it's been
alert.
out.
Yeah, when
But, like-
Green Lantern showed up,
Wow.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern
that
still...
I know that was
great.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
No, I think one thing I kind of wanted to mention or kind of start off with was just kind of like how when the Joker movie came out. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When the Joker movie was announced, there was a lot of like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I was coming across a lot of naysaying. Like, why do we need
Yes.
another Joker movie? Why do we need an
Why
origin
Joaquin
movie?
Phoenix?
Like, it was just a lot of poo-pooing. And now it's like, it's the highest grossing rated R movie. I think as of now, isn't it like the highest grossing comic book movie now, too? Didn't it pass like...
Oh,
Aw,
I don't know.
damn it.
That would be controversial. Wow.
It would be, but also people
it
are like,
beats out
I'm
M-
not going to go see it. And well, a bunch of fucking people went to see it, so
Yeah.
poo-poo on you.
I can't imagine it beating out Endgame.
I don't know.
No.
But the Joker, the point is, Joker's making some
Oh,
serious
yeah,
bank.
rated R superhero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember Ryan Reynolds.
So, yeah, I can see it beating out Deadpool, I guess.
Oh yeah, and
but-
it did because like Ryan Reynolds tweeted like a little picture of the Deadpool from the credits, just being like "son of a bitch," and he's like sitting on the stairs that the Joker dances in.
That's a good one.
That is nice. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that.
But so it's just kind of funny going from everyone naysaying to the wild success that has come from Todd Phillips, who directed the Hangover trilogy.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, who knew? See, I
That's
heard a lot of mixed. I
way
heard a lot
different
of mixed
genre.
things online, but as far as like people I talked to in person, whatever, it was a lot of just like the same thing I was saying. Like, yeah, it's gonna be probably a pretty good movie, but it's not gonna be like my Joker. It's not gonna be like a Joker that I recognize as like the comic. Like, it'll be an interesting take on him,
Right. Yeah.
which I'm sticking with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good movie, but it's not like the comic book Joker in any means of the
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of exactly what I thought it would be. It's kind of like just like gritty and artistic. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. So my expectations were satisfied, so I enjoyed it overall.
I just think what I just hated was that the buzz around the movie was just all of the potential violence. Like I hated it. I just and I know it's a consequence of the world that we're living in now, but I just wanted to look forward to it and not worry about getting shot. And thankfully there were no violent acts when this movie came out.
Oh man, imagine like all the people that would be like, "Told you so."
Oh, I know.
There was a school shooting while this movie was out in theaters, and it was caused by this film.
Yep.
Oh,
they were. Yeah. I mean, people were just waited. They had like Joker ready to be the target for anything that came out. But no. But I remember there's some people that I work with that are kind of begrudgingly having to tell me that Joker was good because some of them were just like, I just don't understand the point. It's probably gonna be crap. And I'm saying it, and I kept saying like, I think it's gonna be really good. And then like when I would see them, they're like, well, I mean, it was okay. I'm like, really? Because I think it's your pride kind of getting in the way of you saying that like, it wasn't that good. It's like, come on, you just don't want to admit that I'm right.
I just forgot about like how like incels were supposed to like rally behind this shit and whatever. I forgot about because I saw the movie, I really liked it, and then I kind of just forgot about not the movie but like that aspect of it that people were bugging out about. And until I had a really fun experience with my Lyft driver last week when I talk to my Lyft drivers. I find them, like, I think it's rude not to. And I was just going to, like, ballet like 11:30 on a Monday. Like, it was, like, just, like, chill, right? And he started talking about the Joker movie, and I was like, sweet, I can talk about movies with this guy. I love talking about movies. But he was like, but then he's like, aside from the Joker movie, I don't want to see any movies. And I was like, what? And then he went into, like, how like all movies are just too PC and that like just let Star Wars be Star Wars. And I was like, oh no. And then it went from there. So
off the rails.
Yeah. yeah, like putting science in air quotes and like
oh no.
Yeah, and then telling me that like that white people, if evolution's real, then white people are clearly the superior race, and how like black people look more, he said that we looked more like monkeys and acted more like monkeys, and that our IQ levels were naturally lower. Yeah, it was a rough ride. It was a rough 15 minutes of my life. And
You're in cringe cab.
And it ended.
Oh my god, Chandler, that was all right. Shut it down, guys. We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, I expect that shit from Uber, not from Lyft. So I was pretty terrified, and then it ended. I was just happy to get to my destination in one piece, like, because I'm alone and I'm a brown woman in the back of this guy's car, and I was like, fuck. So it ended though with him telling me that I was gonna be like terrified, like shivering in fear in hell unless I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. So thanks.
Yeah, if you're listening, thanks for that.
Thanks for that.
Oh,
Thanks for that. I fucking hate you. I hate that you did that to me.
Oh my god.
If only we had business cards to give out at that time. Just be like, here, listen to our newest episode.
Yeah,
you're
never
probably going to be mentioned.
Ever want to come in contact with this guy as long as I live. But Lyft was really cool. They like reached out to me and stuff. And I told them, I was like, I don't want any like free anything. I don't need any discounts. Just I never want to see this man again as long as I live.
At first I thought like, oh, what was his German name? And then you said Jesus Christ, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
he's just a part of the KKK.
It got bananas fast. Like in it, I was just kind of like, oh no, and like I just like. Yeah, but it all started because he was like, "Oh, I was really excited for the Joker movie," and I was like, "Fuck."
I bet you were. Can you pull
Famous
over,
last
please?
words.
I was like, "Fuck."
I want to walk the rest of the way for my salvation.
It's like, I really like the Joker movie, and you just hear the click of the doors.
Oh no. It was really scary. I mean, I'm laughing about it now because it was like a week ago, but still, at the time it was horrifying. But yeah, guys, don't do that. Don't do that to people.
Can safely say it won't.
If you need to, like, you know, get your side hustle on, start driving for Lyft or Uber, just, like, don't do that to people. Just don't trap them in your car and then, like, talk at them about crazy shit that is really offensive.
See, sometimes I wish I could
Like
have
a
been
bar.
there. I wish I could have been there only to just see if I could, like... I've been doing this thing now where I try to, like, out crazy people. I'm like, oh, you think you know Jesus? Well, Jesus speaks to me, motherfucker. And he told me to get in this lift because you've been fucking up real bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can get away with that, though. You're like, you know,
I'm white.
you're white and male. I can't get away with that.
It's like
The guy just told me that my IQ was naturally lower and that I looked and acted closer to like monkeys. Like,
I can't imagine what I'd do in that situation.
yeah,
There's
cringe
nothing
Gab.
you can do.
It's either, like, become aggressive or, like, just reserve yourself.
Yeah, it just I mean you can't. Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I think my like lady skills of peacekeeping just like kicked into overdrive because like women, we kind of have this thing that we're trained from birth just to like do where it's like, don't get murdered. That's it. That's like our whole goal in life is just not to get murdered. And so
That's a pretty good goal.
Yeah. So my peacekeeping skills like kicked into gear and I just kind of like put my pinky up and threw my head back and just pretended that like, oh, just two silly strangers musing on things. Like I just played it as cool
That's
as
a lesson from SpongeBob. When in doubt, pinky out.
when in doubt, pinky out. And I did, and I was just like, ah, ha, ha, you silly person with, that's a wild notion. Ha, ha, you know?
Internal
And
screaming.
then, like, yeah, it was like, it was so crazy. Yeah, so,
This has been our review of Joker. So make sure you
Kinda
like
what
and, you make
happened.
sure you like and subscribe. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
sorry.
No.
So I'll say for Joker for me, just to throw my opinion on it real quick, I think it's a good movie. I don't think I'm its target audience though.
How so?
Like,
He doesn't like face paint.
well, yeah, definitely. I don't know. It seems to target like mental, like it tries to portray mental illness and things like that as like a very keen point of it, and like things that can go unnoticed, like, and that our government should be trying to like pay for mental health. Like, I agree with that, but it's not something I can necessarily relate to. If that, like, I'm not a depressed person. I don't think. I don't have any problems that I can relate to with the movie for the most
Well, it's
part.
also like just access to healthcare in a broader stroke.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's not something I necessarily relate to. You know what I mean? So I think it's like I said, it's a good movie. It's just not like a movie that because I don't have that clicked relation.
Right.
I didn't feel as if I could say like, oh my god, this movie is amazing. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
No, I mean, I think that's worth. I mean, pointing out. If anything, that kind of makes me feel better that people who like don't like have those obstacles before them can kind of at least, hopefully, if anything, the movie kind of like brings an understanding of that people aren't choosing to be that way, because of lack of medication and healthcare funding. Because I think that's sort of kind of like a big stigma. It's like just be happy. And that was like kind of one of the things I love from the movie, even from the trailer, is when Joker has that journal and says that the worst thing about mental illness is that people expect you to act as if you don't have a mental illness. Right. And so I think that's kind of one of the things I enjoyed about the movie was that it was, you know, kind of making a point to show that, you know, what I really liked about this Joker movie was that it wasn't the origin of this gangster falling into a vat of chemicals. You know, this wasn't like an asshole who became a bigger asshole. This was the Joker was like a monster that was, you know, born from society. I mean, you know, or right. You know, it's kind of the lack of empathy in society. So
and trauma.
Right. Oh God, the trauma that is inflicted on Arthur Fleck in this movie.
I've been listening to a lot of like serial killer podcasts and stuff like that, and a lot of the things that like go into making a serial killer like definitely were clear for this character. Like the abuse that he got as a child, reportedly, so had trauma as a child, like the beatings, the attachment to his mother, like that. Don't get me wrong, like obviously take care of her, but like all these things, and like, oh yeah, just be happy, and like him trying to force himself to be something that he isn't necessarily, and like then he just gets beaten, and like most serial killers become serial killers by accident.
I'm sure growing up with Reaganomics would make you a serial killer. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the serial killer thing happens by accident, but
maybe not in all cases.
Yeah, and there is like definitely a drive there for a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
But I think that the cool thing about this film and is that you can pretty distinctly in the beginning see the difference from like what's a fantasy in his head and what's reality, and as the movie goes, like you don't even know anymore, and it's kind of nice. It's a cool thing that they did.
Yeah,
because he can't get his meds anymore, and
I'm glad that they didn't go to like left field as far as like Fight Club. Like we're the same person. Like I was getting worried when they had the reveal of Zazie Beetz. Like she's real. It's just the experiences with her were imagined. And so I was afraid it was going to be like, oh, like I don't know. I feel like it blurred the line just enough where like you kind of have an idea of like what was imagined, what was wished, and what was, you know, reality.
Yeah, just that sequence where they kind of cut between like her there being not there. I think that was like really efficient, very like, clean.
I agree.
I will say that like when I was watching the movie at first, I was just really uncomfortable because like for like at least the first half, it was just felt like misery porn. It was like, you know, he's like getting jumped in the hallway, his mom's sick, like he's getting fucked over at work. It's just like, oh my god, how much lower can he go? And then he doesn't have his meds. And like for me, like the biggest like oh shit moment of the movie was like when like his like friends came in and he was like, oh, I haven't taken my meds for a while, I feel great. It's just like, oh god. Right. That's like famous last words. Like,
no,
seriously. If you do not, you should always be on your meds.
Always be on your meds. Take your freaking meds.
And always be closing. Take your meds.
At least you had the courage to do stand-up, too.
Oh my god, that was like
do you know if that was imagined or not? Like, oh wait, no, it wasn't.
No,
it was definitely a thing.
It was just so cringy.
Well, I think we just don't know. I think him going to the club was real. It's what the response of the audience I think is in question because it sort of like fades out and then the next thing is he's out.
Track.
Yeah, it's Smile.
Right.
Which so here's a fun nerdy moment.
Sure.
I like making playlists for like comics and books that I like, and so I totally made a Batman the Killing Joke playlist. And that song was on there for me, but the only difference was it was sung by Nat King Cole and not fucking Frosty the Snowman.
Okay.
No, that's the same dude, Jimmy Durante, I think.
Yeah.
When there are clouds in the sky, Frosty, you'll get by.
Yeah.
Sing it,
you.
girl.
I loved Robert De Niro in this,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting character for him.
and I have to
It pretty much was just Jay Leno.
yeah, I have to say, and I just want to dive right into the spoiler. I don't know what this says about me as a person, but I think my favorite part of the whole movie is when he shoots De Niro in the face.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Chandler's like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, the reason
that whole sequence is really like uncomfortable.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the reason why is because that is such a Joker move that to the point where it's pretty much coming right out of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Because when he's like quote unquote saying that he's been rehabilitated, he comes on to this talk show to show like, no, I've reformed and I've changed, and there's sort of this like kind of this infatuation with the Joker because he was a serial killer. You know, it'd be like if Jeffrey Dahmer came on, you know, a talk show, or well, he's dead now, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And you know the Joker, like, you know, because you know they give you those mugs on those talk shows, like in that he like smashes it and like slashes the host's throat. So I thought like kind of him shooting it was like, oh, it was kind of. And because it was set in the 80s and Dark Knight was set in the 80s, a part of me kind of felt like I was getting a live-action Dark Knight Returns moment. Mm-hmm. And I love that he did it with a joke. They're like, how about one more joke? What do you get? Yeah.
I do kind of like that, like, it was a very personal story, and, like, for him at least, and, like, he kind of, like, was sort of, like, an unsuspecting, like, symbol. Like he was like asked like, oh, do you think yourself like as like a symbol or something? But he was like, no, it's just kind of like just him being miserable and kind of like taking it out on like the news guy. But like everyone else in Gotham was like living that same life, and it was kind of like a cool like ascension to like figure.
Yeah.
When he wasn't intending to do that at all. He just like kind of it just happened to him.
Yeah, and it's like and it seems like kind of like when he, in a very weird way, it was almost like once he kind of finally embraced who he was and ran with it. Like that was when he was finally like getting the attention that he had, you know, wanted. Yeah. Maybe not in quite that way, but I don't know.
Society was recognizing him,
right? And you know, and the thing I always like about. Like, the best villains for me is when, like, you kind of see where they're coming from as far as, like, motive goes. Like, you know, I always reference Frankenstein or Loki. Like, I always kind of get, like, well, I mean, I wouldn't do this, but it's not like, haha, I'm evil because... evil's sake.
Batman villains were always my favorite because like there was a huge gray area for all of them. Mm-hmm. And I kind of really liked the idea of not having an origin story for the Joker, because the Joker to me was like he was the wild card. It was like you had no clue where this guy was coming from or why he was doing what he was. Yeah, it was like it's even more terrifying that way, and that's why I loved him as like a villain and as a character, because he is a terrifying character because you can't rationalize the insane.
Yeah.
And and you can't wrap your mind around it in any way. Unlike, you know, the Penguin, you can humanize the Penguin easy. You can humanize Poison Ivy easy. You can humanize like Mr. Freeze so easy, but the Joker, you're just like, what? So I was a little hesitant with them making this movie, but like with Joaquin Phoenix like doing it, and I was like, you know what, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good. Because I was really not happy with Jared Leto's Joker.
I don't think anybody was.
I was really unhappy with how they like.
Doesn't really exist.
Well, they just glorified him and made him cool, and like
and the Joker's not cool.
The Joker is not cool.
But that's what makes him cool.
Because he's like he's
not like
so
some
not
cholo
cool.
mechanic.
He's just like, the great thing about that character is that he's just officially out of fucks to give.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's, you know, and I think that was kind of interesting about the movie is for somebody who was desperately looking for purpose and suddenly realizing, oh, there is no purpose because nothing matters. Mm-hmm. And that's like where he kind of like finds that freedom.
He's a force of nature, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a hurricane blowing through the city, but he just happens to be stuck in Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the Joker, and like he's Batman beat me up and I got no teeth, so now I gotta put my hand on my face to show I can smile.
Also, I kind of dig the idea about the possibility of the Joker and Bruce Wayne being half brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean,
I feel
fine
like
with
I
that.
feel like if somebody pitched that to me, I'd be like, I don't know. But the way it was presented in this movie, like, I would totally be okay with if they were ever to do a sequel. Like, I would be so on board to see where they would wanna what they would want to do with that, because I kind of like the idea of, like, these kind of two people who just kind of fell into very different parts of the world,
Yeah.
Just slip through the
because
like
one in privilege, the other. I mean, literally just growing up with trash around.
My only criticism of the movie, really, that I had was I didn't really care for any of the Bruce Wayne stuff or any of the
Thomas Wayne.
I mean, that I actually liked. I liked
of
him being a dick, and
Yeah.
like I really liked
Punch you in
that.
the face.
Just
Oh my
kind of
God.
being an asshole. Like but that's like, that was the 80s. That's how it I don't know, people in the 80s like valued money in a way that I don't think people who didn't experience it would know. Like,
Yeah.
it was all about the money in the 80s, like the cocaine, like where you went to eat, what you wore, who you wore, like who you knew. I mean, that was the epitome of success, was like extravagance. I mean, yeah, it was really gross. It was really, really gross. And I thought that Thomas Wayne was great. A great visual for that, being like, I like that kind of condescending, like, you don't know what's good for you, I know it's good for you kind of thing. That was great. And I would have loved that without really seeing Bruce as a child or seeing the murder again, because we see it every freaking time they do a Batman movie. We get the pearls in the fucking alley.
Yeah.
Every time. It's like,
Iconic.
it's like, oh my God, just like, we know.
I'll say this,
So-
though. I feel like this felt different for me, because I didn't have that same eye-rolling annoyance bit, and probably because it didn't start with that murder the way every Batman anything starts. I liked the idea of, like, seeing that event from a different perspective, because it wasn't explaining Batman's origin. I like the idea that, like, this whole chaotic situation blew up and what seems like, just like a random act of violence, and not, it kind of made me forget of, like, what is waiting on the other side of that.
So let me posit this instead of how they did that. What if they kept, like, everything as is, but instead of, like, the end shoot, pow pow, pearls everywhere, it was Thomas Wayne saying, like, Bruce, Bruce, and stuff like that, and they went with the Thomas Wayne Batman route and stuff like that.
What?
Like if they're doing, like, the Flashpoint?
Thomas Wayne
Oh.
is Batman, so if they killed Bruce off and had him become Batman, because he still has the arrogance of, like, I know what's right for this city, I'm the only one that can do this, and then his wife just becomes the new Joker and they killed him off or something like that. That'd be an interesting take on it, I think.
I think it would have been fine if they just, like, when they were walking to the alley and they just showed, like, the clown guy looking at them, if they just cut it right there, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And they kind of let it go a little too long.
Yeah, I would have taken that. It's just that, like, it's overdone, and, like, it's like you see it so often, and they didn't bring anything new to it.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but they did. They did. And I feel like the whole movie was building towards that moment when the Joker's in prison and he giggles and therapist says, like, what? And he thinks back to Bruce in the alley, and then the Joker says, oh, you wouldn't get it. To me, that's the moment that the Joker figures out who Batman is. Like, it just seems like, why would you have Joaquin Phoenix giggling about something, cut back to that scene, and then come back to him saying, "Oh, you wouldn't get it," and of course you wouldn't get it, because he's got no way of really kind of presenting that as fact. He's got no way to support that. But I feel like he just, like, he's got the right level of insight to know that like that he did that he brought about this new era in Gotham. I feel like it had to have been shot and edited for that reason. Why otherwise? What else would have been in there?
See, I didn't take it like that. I thought it was more like a bringing it back to when they were first meeting with each other.
But it was a different woman.
No, it's the same woman, wasn't it?
Nope.
No, that was a different woman.
Yeah.
We don't all look alike, Jay.
Your words. I just misremembered. It's been weeks since I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just misremembering.
Because
I just thought it was like him talking to someone like while in the insane asylum, just being like, yeah, you know. I don't think that he would be like, oh, like he looks the exact same. He doesn't look like 15 years in the future when Batman is Batman. You know what I mean? It's too early for it to be like, I just made Batman.
I don't know though. I mean, but I still feel like, why else would that scene be in there? And
I think it's probably just for the viewer, not really for him.
Yeah, but also, but why would he kill her? And then why would he have that attempted escape at the end?
Well, why wouldn't he? He likes killing now, and
I know, but think about the narrative format. You even with someone like the Joker, you just don't do things because it's random. Like there's a clear message that's like established in there about like having that flashback and then him like walking out with like the bloody footprints and him getting chased around. I just feel like it has to, even if they don't do anything with it, I feel like narratively it has to point in some direction. Because I just don't think is that like, because he only had that one encounter with Bruce. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I also don't know how would he know
I
about like Bruce's
I never. I mean, and I think that's a cool idea. I didn't see it as that way.
Oh, because you're all wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was like a visual cue
I
or
thought
not,
it
just
was
for the viewer
more
to
of
like
like a
think
nuance.
about it.
And I'm okay with that though. I'm okay with that. Like leaving it kind of open ended.
I
like
clearly
that.
misremembered stuff, so I'm just going to throw a side note out there real quick. I'm going to say one of my favorite, not my favorite scene in the movie, but my favorite thing in the movie is the fact that they made his laughter mental.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, that's still open to interpretation because when a detective asked him like, "Is that a condition or is that part of your act?" He kind of didn't really answer them. He was like, "What the hell do you think?" It was like,
well, it was actually like he had the card for it to hand to people and things like that. I think it was an actual.
It is an actual condition, yeah.
I think the condition is real. I think how he interpreted it because we're led to believe that it's just this condition that he has that he was born with, and then you find out that is like kind of like this like result of the trauma he experienced because he says that before he kills his mom. Yeah. That like, oh, you remember that laugh like he told me that I had, that like, you know, that like because it kind of makes him think that, oh, this is just this crazy thing that I was born with. Like, no, this was a crazy fucking thing that happened to me, and that you were directly responsible for.
And right. It could have had to do with like him being abused as a child.
Yeah, completely. Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was a hauntingly beautiful movie, and it looked so good. And
it did. It's a good looking movie.
I know we got to make a nod to the dancing because that was awesome.
Yeah, it's a good dancing career Joaquin Phoenix has now.
He did stuff.
He did that on Skin and Bone too. He had no muscle to do that.
You know, how come when I
what kind of dance is that? Is that like ballet?
When I danced like that when I was skinny, no, everyone's would put a shirt on, but Joaquin does it. Give him an Oscar. Unbelievable.
I mean, I don't remember you being that skinny.
Oh, I do.
You could see like all of his ribs and like backbones and everything.
I thought he had scoliosis.
Scoliosis.
He looked not well. He definitely looked malnourished.
I love that scene though. I was like, hey, Arthur, you're a really good dancer. I know. Like,
yeah. I know.
Yeah, that little fantasy bit. Oh my god, great. That was fantastic. I love, like, that was the other thing too. I love those scenes of like him like by himself when he's just like practicing these like situations.
His entrance.
Oh my god, yeah, just oh my, yeah, I know when he's like, what was it, when he's got like the curtain set up and he like comes out and he's like, I love where he's like, hey Murray.
Right.
Hey Murray, big fan. I love that. That was just so good. Oh,
I love them
you
going
want
to the
hear a
children's
joke?
hospital. That was really
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. You want to hear a joke? And it kind of mimics with the audio that we're hearing from the TV. I thought that was great.
Yeah, there was some just... I loved how that movie was shot. I thought tonally it was just awesome.
Yeah.
It was really good.
He's like dancing in the mirror and he just accidentally shoots off the gun, then just immediately turns up the TV.
Yep.
So
I'm watching a war movie.
I'm watching an action movie.
Yeah. I gotta say, was it Frances Connery? I love her. I mean, like what was it, like a 6 Feet Under, American Horror Story. I almost kind of feel like I wish I had more of her as well as Zazie Beetz. But
Yeah.
but I think at this point that's more kind of nitpicky because it's the Joker's movie. But I just thought that they were like, I mean, I don't know. I thought Frances Connery did like so much with what she had. Like when he finds that letter that she was writing to Thomas Wayne, and then when he finds out and like you like hear her screaming, "You're gonna give me a heart attack," and he's like,
He chases her.
"Oh yeah,
Yeah.
mom, I'm not mad."
Yeah, that was...
I just want to know if it's true.
Yeah, that was that was a wild movie.
Yeah,
that was
it's
just wild.
It just like made me think of Nicholson. It's like, I'm not mad. I'm just gonna choke the life out of you soon.
Yeah,
like-
it
had-
was... It was good.
Had some good jokes too.
Mm.
Like especially with the like that cop scene that we mentioned earlier with the, hey, is this thing real or is it a bit? What do you think? And then like goes to walk inside and just walks right into the door.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like doing that, like the wave trying to the
Yeah.
motion sensor. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the children's hospital.
Oh, my
god.
That was really funny.
Oh my
If
god.
you're happy and wiggle your ears. And it just tumbles
Clunk.
out.
Clunk.
Oh
I
my
know. It was like, oh my god. Like that there were some moments in that, yeah. I mean, it was a deeply uncomfortable movie and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved like like the callback when he's in the phone booth and he finds out that he like lost his job, and he like smashes his head into the window. I feel like they're I wonder if that was if that was supposed to be, that was intended to be some sort of a callback when like earlier on in the movie when he's meeting that therapist and she asks him like do you even know why you were even institutionalized to begin with, and it has that cutaway of him hitting his head against the door in the asylum. Like I thought that was a really interesting kind of like juxtaposition. I think it's just both being in confinement, kind of helpless. Just thought that was interesting. I did love, and not to like glorify violence at all, but I love the subway car scene where where basically the whole chain of events starts with the Gotham 3. When they're
That was a bit of a Justice Boner scene.
A little bit.
But,
oh yeah,
A little bit.
it's just like
I wish like at one point anybody like Robert De Niro's character just like asked him like, why did you kill them? And he was just like, because they were beating the shit out of me.
right. I
nobody
feel like
well, they're also harassing that girl, heckling her.
yeah, it's like it wasn't totally random.
I also think
Right.
I think because he could have just said like on
self-defense.
TV like, oh, he was protecting that girl, but like I think his character's like so self-absorbed and like kind of slightly narcissistic, and I think like I said earlier, like he doesn't realize that he's becoming a symbol because he's so into himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think like at the end he kind of like breaks out of that and sees that he's like, a leader.
Yeah.
So yeah.
'Cause one scene that like killed me too was when, and actually also in the beginning when he's talking to that therapist about, how he wanted like more pills or different pills, and she was like, "You're on 7 different pills. One of them has to be doing something," and like that just like made me cringe as like somebody who like like for me anyway, like regularly meeting with a psychiatrist about my meds. I like if she said that to me, I think I would just feel like the bottom dropping out from beneath me. Yeah, well, like I've been
Yeah.
doing something, really, because I'm feeling like this. So no, they're not doing something, you know.
Yeah. Well, just that disconnect.
Oh, yeah.
There's just such a disconnect, and I felt like this movie is so timely, and I mean, of course, you know, you got to worry that, you know, people are going to take it the wrong way, but that's kind of how art works.
Right.
You know, it makes a
Yeah.
commentary on the culture that it's in, and people take from it what they will. And I was pleasantly surprised with how much more focused on the like the disparity is with like poverty
God,
and
yeah.
the lack of mental health funding, and I was really surprised that it was really heavy on those things, and just kind of and you just kind of getting a nice front row seat in just the day-to-day of this guy that is struggling, like just struggling to be normal, and even at his best he's like barely making the cut. Like
Yeah.
barely. Oh my god, it is awkward and so uncomfortably cringeworthy, the things that he says and that he does, and like the moment when he punches the clock after he gets fired, and he just like kind of comes back and just like fucking
I was like, oh, I almost forgot to punch out.
yeah, and he like was like, oh my god, like I was so just uncomfortable, and like, oh man, but
I love that scene, like especially when because that guy who gave him the gun, he like lied about it to protect his own ass, you know, because like when Arthur's talking to the boss, he's like, he doesn't say that he never had a gun, he never gave that to you, and you know, and I love in the scene where he does give it to him, he's like, hey, you know, I gotta look out for my boy, you know, just remember you owe me, and then later on he's like, I forgot, I owe you, don't I? Like I just loved like I couldn't help but get excited, kind of seeing the early stages of like the Joker coming out.
yeah.
You know,
And so once we get his reveal on the steps with the
the glitter there, John.
there
glitter.
is something really I felt the most relief in that sequence, because he stopped giving a fuck. Just the fucks were gone, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, like
and I loved like when the cops chase him into the subway car and they just get swallowed up by all of those Joker protesters.
well, and that's the great thing about the Joker, because he's somebody who shouldn't be able just to blend into the crowd, but he just does it. He slips away like that, and he has repeatedly in the comics and stuff. Like he's just he exists, and he banks on the fact that like people don't notice anything but themselves, and
Right.
like and so it's easy to disappear,
Right, and that's kind of bringing back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, the best villains are the ones where like I don't like agree with the actions, but like I agree with or at least kind of understand where they're coming from. Like so when he says that, you know, like why do you give a shit about these 3 guys who were shot? Like if it had been me lying bleeding on the street, you'd walk right over me, you know. And it's like a lot of people feel like that. That there's you know why is one getting more attention and not another, and not even just attention, but just like the empathy. And that's the thing, is Gotham is sucked dry of any kind of empathy. That you know, just that, you know, that nobody would know what it was like, or even dare contemplate what it would like to be someone like Arthur Fleck. You know.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like, oh, those 3 boys had like their whole lives ahead of them. They're important because they're making money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I loved when Thomas Wayne says it on the TV, where he was like, you know, I don't know them personally, but, you know, they're family. Or something to that effect, and it's like,
what? No, I think I like it. I like that we have this to add to kind of the nostalgia-y theme films that we're getting right now, because so many films are taking place in the 80s, because, you know, yes, they are pandering to our demographic, and so many of us are writing these films that were like kind of grew up in the 80s, but all you usually see is like the the childlike fun novelty that was the 80s, and it's nice to actually get a note of what shit was like really like in the 80s. And if you lived in like an urban environment, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. There's a great and this is connected, but there is a film that was made in 1980, and it's called 1990 Bronx Warriors, and it is a terrible like D-list movie that it's supposed to take place in the future in the 90s in the Bronx. And this, I mean, apart from the ridiculous like post-apocalyptic feel of this film, that I feel like people should see it. If you want to know what shit was like in the 80s, watch this movie, because one of the best parts about this movie is the set. There was really no set. They just filmed in the Bronx. Oh, yeah. That's just what it looked like in the 80s. Like, that's how disgusting and awful. Like, we as a country just didn't give a fuck about our poor. It
still kind of is.
But like, no, it's not.
It's gotten better. It's
some pockets.
No, like, I mean, the fact that it's like literally you looked at these buildings that were like crumbling. They looked like they were bombed out. You looked like it looked like being in London, like right at the tail end of World War II. Like things, it was, you had shelves of, like a shell of a building that had been like burnt out, like just in rubble and things that were partially demolished. But this is like, it was, they just went to the Bronx and just filmed there because it was like cheap. You didn't need really anything, and they didn't need to like do anything to the sets because they just went to these like freaking abandoned, burnt out buildings.
I mean, there's a reason why it's called Gotham City, because it's modeled after New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you look at like Marvel, and you know, I think there's a reason why like so many of those heroes are in New York, especially like, you know, I know Chandler, like I know you used to live in Hell's Kitchen, but it's leaps and bounds better than what Hell's Kitchen was in the 70s.
Oh yeah, Hell's Kitchen's like sanitized.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my god, like just there's so, I mean, what New York is now, I mean, isn't it what it was in the 80s is just, it was a terrifying place. It was a really terrifying
even
place.
fucking Jason went on vacation in New York, okay? I mean,
it was not a pleasant place. But that's like how it was though. Like people just like, either you only cared about being uber rich, and if you weren't uber rich, it was clear that you just like didn't matter. And that is how we as a society treated each other. So I think it's nice that this is kind of on that shelf with all the other like 80s like nostalgia pieces that are out there right now. Like, because I mean, look at the stark contrast with like, what was it, the X-Men, the last one, like Dark Phoenix that took place. That was
the 90s. Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse was the 80s, and that's that right there is just like, oh, that's what people think the 80s were like. And it's like, no, it was more closer to the Joker. Like, hands down.
I mean, Storm had a mohawk in the 80s, you know, for a reason.
Yeah.
Because she had to look like a fucking Bronx warrior.
Yeah, I mean, but that's why post-apocalyptic movies were huge in the 80s, because that's what people genuinely thought was the next step of our evolution as a species, because it was so bad.
Terminator, Escape from New York.
It was so bleak. Yeah. Like, and then when you had like the riots and the stuff and just the gang violence on the West Coast in the early 90s, like people genuinely thought like, okay, this is it, it's happening. Like, we're going downhill now. And then it didn't but luckily, knock on wood. But yeah,
still time.
So that's why I just thought that was a cool notion.
Yeah I did like to where the name Joker comes from in this origin. Like, I love that like Robert De Niro like calls him a Joker when they play that tape, and then later on, you know, I just love where he's like, "Hey Murray, would you do me a favor? Could you introduce me as Joker?" And they're like, "What, Joker?" It's like, you know, like, yeah, that's what you called me. And I just thought that was like a really cool
set up.
Yeah.
Because that's like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know where this is going.
Take your power back, Joker.
Yeah, seriously, live your truth.
Live your truth, girl.
Yeah, you know what was kind of
Uh,
interesting too for me when he first comes out onto the stage, like he kind of has that dance, and you know, there was like a split second in my mind where I thought like that maybe he could like, I mean, I knew the outcome was going to be dark and vicious, but there was like a moment where I thought like, oh, he might actually nail this because like just the way he comes out,
Yeah.
you know, and like and the way he like, you know,
Dances
and the way he like kissed that, you know, fucking that sex therapist there or whatever, like
I love the backstage scene where like the crew was just looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah, where he's just like doing that like
Yeah.
yeah, with a cigarette. Yeah. But I also love too though, like when like the things like that he would say, like, you know, the intent was funny, but it just fell so flat. You know, and in my mind, that's how I always imagine the Joker, that he's only funny to himself.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah, because you know, they're just like, even before it got really, like before he tells the joke about, you know, the cops coming to the mother's house to tell her son died by a drunk driver, like even the early bits of like some of the things that he was trying to say, that like it was just so uncomfortably realistic of like trying to be like, just make people laugh, and it was like crickets, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
ugh.
Yeah. It's good though. It's good.
I think that it's nice that he saw the little person as his friend,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he didn't kill him. And it made me rethink that, like,
you
when
gotta be careful who
that
you're a dick
dude
to and who you're
told
nice
that
to.
joke, like way earlier on in the movie, he was just like, "Oh, you're not tall enough to reach."
Yeah.
And he burst out laughing. It was just his like mental click,
Right, yeah.
and he really just didn't find it funny. Whereas
Right.
before, like, I was like, "Oh, he's just humoring him," and then it was like, "Oh no, that was just one of his moments."
Right, yeah. I did love that where, like, yeah, like, God, like, when they come over and they're like, oh, hey, guys, what's up? Like, my mom died. It was like, he's, like, covered in fucking white face paint. And they're like, yeah, that's actually why we came by, you know, and then, like, and it just, like, and like, I love how, like, it should not have been funny, but it was.
It was
or
so
I
funny.
need to examine some things.
No, we weren't
When-
the only ones laughing in the theater.
like when that guy
We weren't.
when he tried to leave and he couldn't reach the lock.
Yeah, that
He's
was,
like, Arthur, could you I'm sorry. Like, you know, it was just like,
Right.
oh, like hilarious. And I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
we weren't the
Right.
only ones laughing, and I don't know if it's because of. I mean, because Paul and I, we are definitely two people that dance in the mental health issue area. Like, yeah, we definitely have, you know, but we're taking our meds, and
Or are we?
no, but like, obviously not as dire or detrimental, but like I feel like we definitely have our toe in that water, and but a lot of that comes from trauma, and when people experience really dark traumatic things, you know, there's a reason why the best comedians are the ones that are like the most screwed up backgrounds. It's like there's a level of like understanding, and I think for him in particular it was like too far gone, like it was too heavy.
Yeah.
Paul, stop freaking out, Chandler.
Am I freaking out, Chandler?
I was like oscillating. Just like-
I was just daydreaming.
But yeah,
Yeah. Fun movie.
Good times.
Yeah, take the kids.
good times. Take the kids. Don't take the kids. Do not take the kids. Do not do
You
that.
know,
I'll say too.
somebody brought
I
their
think
fucking
that-
kids to that movie.
Yeah, you did.
I think the
yeah.
cops were legitimately doing their jobs pretty well. Like they were trying to search out what they thought to be a murder case, and like they were like doing the groundwork pretty well.
Right, yeah, they weren't
just
like
kinda
two
got screwed
bumbling
over.
detectives.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't like the typical like donut eating out of shape. Like, well, maybe they could have been
Like,
donut eating in a
They
lot
were
of
out of
shape.
shape.
They
Yeah.
were out of shape.
But they were.
But,
But you're
like,
right.
if
Though,
they-
but they were actually detecting.
Like, if they were taking bribes and stuff like that, that'd be one thing. And it was like, no, they deserve the shit beat out of them.
Right.
Nope, they were just straight up
Doing their job.
cops trying to do their job.
Right. It's not like the Adam West show where all the cops are fucking Irish and are clueless. They're like, oh, but Jesus, Master Fleck. Is that a real condition? Or are you making it up?
Man, there's a bomb here.
Yeah.
It's about to go off in 5 minutes.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I did like that it was... I liked that it didn't really ever feel cartoony, but it didn't feel like it was like... we need to be so fucking gritty and realistic. Like, it wasn't like watching a Zack Snyder movie. Like,
It was really balanced, I think.
Yeah, like, it wasn't like gritty for the sake of being gritty, and it didn't feel like it was like Snyder or, like Nolan.
Comic booky.
Yeah, it just felt like...
It just felt like a drama to me, like a regular...
Right, they could have changed the name of the city, the name of the character, and it didn't have to be a comic book movie for it to work.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, there's little winks, but there's nothing that's I don't know, directly canon. I actually like the fact that they were kind of setting up their own movie, and I know that was a complaint in the beginning. A friend of mine said, oh great, I can't wait for this to do well, so then we can make a Lex Luthor movie where we watch him cut deals in a boardroom for 2 hours without a fucking Superman. And I was like,
oh god.
And I was like, is it weird that I kind of want to see that movie?
Yeah, I would like that. I would totally watch that. I mean, it'd be way better than most of the shit DC's putting out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
sure.
looking forward to Birds of Prey. I'm gonna be real. I mean, I'm gonna see it because I like Margot Robbie and I like her Harley, but why the fuck is Harley Quinn in a Birds of Prey movie?
Yeah.
Fan service?
Why is she
cosplay bait?
Why is she a bird of prey? Why is Harley? I mean, I know why the Huntress is. I know why
Black Canary
is. I knew why Oracle was. I knew why
Fan
all.
service.
But why is Harley? I mean, it's almost like they could have done better if they did a Gotham City Sirens. But what do I know?
Well, is she even on the team, or is kind of that's kind of she's the client or the person you have to rescue?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's
She could just kind of be there.
Or why didn't they just do a Harley movie? Why do they need... You know what I mean? I don't know. I would pay so much money to see a Gotham City Sirens. I would. Just Harley, Catwoman, and freaking Poison Ivy doing their thing. That's it. I am all about that. But, why are you...
Just robbing banks and living their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going on joyrides with the top down.
Yeah,
Cops chasing them.
The rest of this, I'm like, what the fuck is this? What is this? What's happening?
Yeah, I worry that, Warner Brothers or DC isn't, really not getting it.
Oh,
are
you worried about it now?
Well, no, because I was hoping that there'd be somewhat
they haven't gotten it yet. It's been how many years?
Wasn't bad.
I'm not gonna sit through that.
I think
movie.
Shazam was their best movie.
Shazam was fun. I did like Shazam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Still a Wonder Woman fan, except for the last fight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that movie was great until the last fight, and I was just and
it's an anime.
And it's
I still think that movie was I think that movie was still a 6. At best.
Okay.
I think that there were moments in that movie that were truly awesome.
No Man's Land.
That scene
and
was
awesome.
The freaking all the fucking Amazons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, a whole movie just on that island. I'd been yeah. I was so in it. But then everything else was just kind of okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. When they put his fucking head on fucking that jacked body for fucking Ares.
Daddy.
Don't
They kept the
do
mustache.
And they kept his fucking mustache. I was like, don't do it.
Wasn't that fucking...
Where's your helmet? Put on
Wasn't
that helmet.
Lupin from the Harry Potter movies
Yes!
too?
Yeah.
Yes, it
I just
was.
kept waiting for him to offer her a piece of chocolate. It'll make you feel better.
Yeah, I was like,
dear.
God, don't put his head on a fucking beefy body. It's weird.
They really
Quit
are trying to be
it.
like Captain America.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was rough. That was rough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, don't even get me started on fucking Aquaman. Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's not good either,
No. No, no, no,
You did?
no, no.
I thought it was okay.
No, that bitch fucking playing a flute. What the fuck was that? What was that?
No.
Tell me. Tell me.
You know,
Why-
Answer me now.
Why were they just on a boat playing the flute? And I was like, are you kidding me?
no, there are some cheesy fucking moments of that movie, but I had a lot of fun watching it. Like, especially like the whole fucking Kraken fight thing with all the different armies and shit.
I cared about Nicole Kidman, and
Yep.
that was it. I only cared about Nicole Kidman.
You didn't like Mara?
No. No, I did not.
No.
Especially when she started playing that fucking flute. I was like, what are we doing? Where are we?
I watched that movie on a plane, and like, I'm real glad I didn't pay for it.
It was horrible. And I
at
was like,
Nicole
oh,
Kidman.
I was like, hey guys, we already have Thor Ragnarok. Stop.
Yeah. I called it underwater reverse Black Panther.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is reversed because it's about fish people.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. God
know what
damn
I'm
it,
watching
DC. God damn it. Like, it's not. Oh, God. It's not hard. You have the money. It just. Ugh.
So instead of deep diving into that,
Thanks.
we can
Thanks,
go
Dad.
with- Maybe
Saving
we
the
should
show,
go with
thank
what
you.
we've been reading.
Yeah. I don't.
It's about that time, right?
Is it? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think what I have been reading.
I'll go first. I've been watching the reboot of DuckTales, and it's super awesome. I love
We
it
just
so
started
much.
it actually just
It's
before we
so
started
good.
We watched like
recording
the
this.
first 6 episodes before we started recording.
Yeah, this is great.
Isn't it great?
It is
Ugh,
so great. It is so
Yeah,
great.
It's like because like it's like voiced by like a lot of comedy people, so it's like a bunch of comedy nerds making like a comedy cartoon. And
Launchpad
it's so
McQuack
perfect.
is like my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Disney Plus, man.
Oh
That
yeah,
shit
Disney
is
Plus today. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, the DuckTales reboot is great. I like that there's like an overarching like, or there's like an actual story arc to the episodes.
Yeah.
And I like the mysteries kind of carry on to like.
And they're
other episodes.
asking the question that has yet to be answered for like how many decades, that who is Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mom?
Yeah.
Who is their mom?
I'm really enjoying it.
Everybody's got an uncle, but nobody got no aunts. What's
yeah.
going on here?
The thing that sold me was that like somebody had shared an article on Facebook, and the headline was that like DuckTales is like the Game of Thrones for kids, and I was like,
What?
I gotta fucking read this. And their argument I thought was really interesting, because not in terms of like the violence, but just sort of like the family lineage, the mystery, how
the chess piece moving.
right, yeah, like how the seasons are kind of set up in a very similar format.
Okay.
So, but as of the 6 episodes we've seen, I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, I like because like I don't know if you guys remember the original like DuckTales cartoon, but like they
Hell
didn't
yeah.
like Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They didn't like really have like distinct personalities.
No.
But, like in this one, they do.
They
and
had
it's, like,
distinct
really.
colored shirts. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I
great
like
to kind of
how-
like see them all like have like their own like aspects and talents.
Yeah.
And like I kind of like how like Louie's the only one who can do like the coin dive swim.
Yeah.
And like Scrooge, and like it's just kind of like cool. They kind of have their own little like flair.
Right.
And it's like it's nice.
I did like how early, in one of the early episodes they kind of call out like, "Oh, that's cute! Like you guys have color coded shirts and yeah."
Hey, red hat.
Yeah,
Bluey.
yeah. No, it's really good. I'm so glad we started watching it.
It's so good. It's really fun.
They do a lot of like fun like call outs to like the old cartoon or to
Yeah.
like fucking Darkwing Duck. It's really funny.
Darkwing Duck. I'll probably be watching that too with Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
It makes you like wish they rebooted all of like those like era cartoons, like Goof Troop and like Darkwing Duck in that same art style.
Yeah.
It's just like so awesome and clean and funny and expressive.
It is.
I love
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, I would take a Tailspin reboot.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I loved Tailspin.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows, man? I mean,
Especially with this freaking Launchpad. It's like, oh god, yeah.
yeah. You never know. We might get it. I saw the first episode of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus,
Ooh.
and I really liked it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's good. What I love is that it's not like you look at shows like the CW or even I'm trying to think of other like or like Agents of Shield. You know how much is like, wow, like this is totally like operating on such a shoestring budget. Whereas the Mandalorian, like I feel like I'm watching a movie. Like it's like Game of Thrones production.
Yeah. You're not getting any of that CW bullshit.
No,
You're getting, like,
it's just and dude, fucking
gold.
Carl Weathers, Nick Nolte was in it, Taika Waititi. Like, I mean, and you have Pedro Pascal who was fucking Oberyn from Game of Thrones. Like, so it's just got such a killer cast, and it's just like it was such a cool first episode. And I like that they are kind of like, because I didn't really know a lot about the whole Mandalorian clan thing, so it's cool that they're doing a series. Like he, well, you saw the episode, right?
Yeah.
Like when he meets that other member when they're
Yeah, like I even like Boba Fett had a whole like kind of like culture and backstories. That's like cool.
Oh, spoilers for Jay. Well, I saw like the first 10 minutes of it, and then I had to go to work. But I will pick it up. But we should probably. I'll give a thumbs up to Jay so he can put his headphones back.
So
in.
when
that wasn't really a spoiler though. It was just like
just when Vader
the bounty
shows
hunter. It's the bounty hunter guild. That's just it.
I haven't heard anything. Don't know what you're talking about. Headphones are out, dog.
Yeah.
Is Disney Plus? You have to pay for it, right?
yes,
Yeah.
But it's pretty cheap.
it's like $7 a month.
Or you can get the yearly, which is $69.99, which is like comes out to like $6 a month.
Or I could meet my old friend at Pirate Bay.
Is that even still like a thing? Is Pirate Bay still a thing? Still going?
You can dust off that hat at any time.
I haven't been on it in like I don't know, like a decade.
There's so many different like streaming services at this point that like it for them to expect us to like go back to paying like I don't know $40 a month just so we can get all these things, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Well, that's why I like the
So
$6-7 a month. I mean, like when I heard that for Disney, I'm like, holy shit!
I mean,
and it's a
don't
huge
get
library.
me wrong, that's cheap for what you're getting at a Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But like it's Disney Plus, like HBO's trying to do their own thing.
Oh, it was
There's
HBO Max.
Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah, it's gonna get insane. Even NBC's doing Peacock.
Yeah, all these
yeah,
different fucking
I'm
networks.
pretty much gonna probably just whittle it down just to like Netflix and Disney. I don't know. I might like I'll stick with Hulu or with HBO a little bit longer. See, I mean, because there's some cool stuff that they're putting up there on HBO right now.
Yo, who is watching The Watchmen?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man,
it's good.
Yes,
It's good. I like it a lot.
it's like fucking.
I've heard good things.
It's stupid how good it is because
It
it's
is.
better than I think what we thought it would be.
Yeah, because I'm not like the biggest Watchmen fan. I know that's like sacrilege in like the comic community.
like the blue peen and awkward sex scenes.
Oh man, that huge blue dome.
That made me angry. That did. It actively made me angry.
But I will say this
The
though.
worst song
This
to play.
TV series though is not a sequel to the movie. It's like a direct sequel to the comic book.
Ooh,
Like they mention
that's
the
even
whole
better.
they bring up the whole fucking squid showing up in Times Square and like the result of that. So yeah, it's not a sequel to Zack Snyder. Like it's a direct sequel to the comic.
Oh, Zack
I
Snyder.
forgot Snyder did that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing that was really different was the ending, but so it's kind of like it's cool.
Yeah. It's there, yeah. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, and it hasn't done that like Watchmen-y thing that it usually does to me, where it's just like, okay, this is pretentious and going nowhere.
And it also helps too that like that 8 out of the 12 writers for that show are not Caucasian.
Yay!
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Or
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
self-proclaimed wizards. I had to make that joke. Sorry, Alan Moore. Yeah.
But yeah, if you get a chance, Watchmen's really good. Mandalorian's good. Oh, and just real quick, that expanding the universe thing we watched, where they kind of like tease all the Marvel shows that are coming out.
Looking good,
Yo.
you guys. WandaVision. Oh
my
my
God,
god.
yeah.
Do
Fucking,
they have like footage, or they just like talk about it?
they're talking about it, but
they
you know
show you
who's
the-
in it?
Who?
Oh no, please.
Darcy. They're bringing Darcy back from the Thor
Oh,
movies,
cool.
and she's gonna be in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're bringing the agent from Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's
Yep.
gonna be in it.
Yep.
But it goes mainly kind of to Comic-Con footage. But I loved seeing all the stuff for Falcon and Winter Soldier, like the concept
Yeah.
art for that.
And the What If. Oh,
Yeah.
that looks really good.
Well, what I like to, just going back to the Falcon for a second, is that they're bringing back Daniel Bruhl, Zemo from Civil War.
Sweet.
Like, and they have footage of him rocking the purple Zemo mask, which is like
Nice.
what I wanted. So, but yeah, What If looks great.
What If looks really cool. It's animated. It's like, and the animation looks awesome.
Yeah, and like,
It looks so good. I'm like really excited.
yeah, and what if Peggy Carter was like Captain Britain?
Yeah. Yeah, and like Skinny Steve is in like an Iron Man looking suit. It's like so
It looks good.
great.
Like
It's
it looks
so
really good.
great.
And they're doing Marvel Zombies for one of the What If
Yeah.
episodes.
Ah.
Yeah.
And it actually looks good because I
Good
do not like
times.
Marvel Zombies, but this looked really cool. But yeah, so yeah, gushing over Disney Plus. Have you been reading anything?
I'm reading The Revenant. The book
What's that?
that the movie was based off of. The
Oh.
Yeah, it's all about how DiCaprio went to the wilderness to get
bears.
an Oscar.
yeah.
Aw. Leave him alone. He earned it.
Tom Hardy was there too.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy was there too, but no, because I didn't like the movie. And so when Sam and her boyfriend came up to visit us last month, he was saying how the book was way better. So Sam and I bought copies of the book. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Oh, Sam bought a copy too.
Yeah, we both got like copies.
Book club.
Book club. I'm sure she like flew through it already because I don't have any time. But yeah. I'm working on The Revenant, and so far so good. I like it better than I like the movie.
Cool.
Good.
Cool.
What about you guys?
I binge read a series called Mari Mishita. Mari Mishita something Yuma-kun, which is about. It's pretty much like Hayate no Gotoku, but it's or fighting combat butler Hayate, whatever you want to go with for the name. But it's about a kid that his parents are really shitty. He grew up in poverty, has had to work his entire life. His parents sell him to a demon lord for money, and so the demon lord basically just wanted to have a grandson, and so he's just this like overly affectionate grandfather is just like, "Ooh, it's my grandson's first day at school." Yay.
But he's like a
taking
demon
photos
lord.
with him, and he's like spoiling the shit out of him. And like he's like, "Hey, everything will be just fine as long as nobody realizes you're a human. You're good." And like the school theme song is like, "Break their bones and eat their flesh. We will destroy all humans." And he's just sitting there nervous, like, Jesus Christ, no one can find out, no one can find out. And like typical anime fashion, he's like standing out in the school more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because the grandfather keeps being like, "Look how great my grandson is. He's actually going to give like the opening speech," and like all sorts of great
Look
shit.
at him
It's
not
really
being a
wonderful.
human.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's being animated right now too. It's I think 6 episodes deep, but I was really getting impatient, and so I just binge read it.
Ooh, that reminds me, Uzumaki.
Yep.
I flew through that. Like that actually.
Yeah, I binge read that too.
I read that faster than I thought I would. Like, wow, this is gonna be a project, and it's like cuts like 1 hour later. Oh wow, that was really good. Yeah.
That's kind of how manga goes. You like
Yeah.
fly through it. It's like so easy just to yeah. because they don't have like a bunch of dumb shit packed in there.
Well written and drawn manga is easy to go through.
Yeah.
And it's like Uzumaki and like anything by Junji Ito in general is just like this is a series of short stories that all have a typical theme to it.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. I think the only part that I
we'll
was...
have to have an episode about it.
Yes, definitely. I think the only thing, because I really, really wanted to discuss this with you, Jay, so I'll mention it real quick, is like the only part I was sort of like, I don't know how I feel about this, is when, like, and maybe it's just me, and I'm like, I'm a stupid American, but when, towards the end, when, like, nobody could, like, yell or scream, because, like, they would create, like, these little fucking wind tornadoes, so when people are just fucking, like, blowing at each other, you know, like just the drawings of like, you know, just like their cheeks all puffed out. Yeah, it was just like, oh, this is intense. Like just, you know what I mean? Like, and then you see somebody in a tornado, like, oh no, like, you know, it's just like I'll show you.
Like, you just murdered that person.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
And then there's like a gang.
Quickly.
There's like a gang of wind riders, like, come on guys, let's go.
I have the shitty little kids, and it's just like, how did you get free?
Yeah, but yeah,
and they're immediately just
they're
like,
these like grown
let's
adults.
go destroy shit again.
Yeah, but they're like these grown adults who are like these wind riders, and they're like in these little fucking devil tornado things. Yeah,
that sounds so goofy.
They either became a snail because they weren't moving quick enough.
Oh my god, that was great.
They were basically wind riders.
That was funny too, because the kid was like, "Oh, remember that one kid who only comes to school when it rains?" I'm like, "What?" And like he shows up, he's all sweaty, he's like, "Hey guys," and I'm surprised that's not a meme. This kid's face is like
I mean, anything can become a meme as soon as you make it one. Just like spread that shit.
Oh my god! But it was good though. I mean, I liked it.
Have that image and have it be like me running late to school and just that kid's like sweaty ass face, like,
oh my god. And I love that kid who made fun of him. Like they became a snail, and then they mated.
Yeah, because snails don't have gender.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Snails don't have genders, and they just kind of like one becomes
gay
what
snails.
the other one needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uzumaki. That's just what happens.
Yeah. So check it out.
We can save it for.
Yeah, I definitely want to do a book review on that.
Angela, Chandler, have you guys read Uzumaki?
I only read like the first like chapter or two, years ago.
I read it years ago.
Sounds like you weren't a fan, Chandler. It was because of all the wind
No,
riding?
I was. I just never finished reading it.
No, it's just, but when you work at a comic shop, you read so much.
It's hard.
Like, what was I reading at my peak? I was at like 82 current titles. Like, just current, not bad, like stuff that had already come out. Just the current titles. I would think at my peak, I was at like 82. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
How many titles I was
at
reading.
20 right now.
Wow.
I am just reading Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, which is the bomb, because I love that, like...
No spoilers. I only read House of X and Powers of X. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can take my headphones out if you want.
we were in Uzumaki, you'd be fucking a mile away. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, and there'd be some stupid joke. Oh man, he blew me. Oh, not like that.
There's actually a live action Uzumaki also.
No.
No, yeah. No homo.
Should we also watch the live action Uzumaki?
Whoa, what? There's a live action Uzumaki? Uza, get out of here if you're lying with that, okay? Because I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be mad disappointed if I can't find it.
I'll double check on IMDb, but I'm pretty sure I have a copy of.
Oh my god!
Well, I think
DVD.
That's our next episode, guys.
Uzumaki is the place to be. When riding is the time for me. It's so funny. Like, yeah, I definitely want to talk because I love how it starts. Hey guys, you know what's cool? Spirals. Okay, Mr. Shimi, thanks. Nice seeing you. Like, it's just
where is this going?
What?
It's like, hey, you make pots, right? Can you make one with swirls? And the guy's like,
you know, you got swirls in your ears, honey.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's great. Yeah.
I think.
Yo, dog, heard you like spirals.
I think the multiverse needs a new segment of just Paul explaining manga.
You know, honestly, I wish I could do just like one man shows of like arcs. Like that was Rob's idea when I did like a review of Absolute Carnage. Like I just did like a one man like, and then this happened, and you know.
Yeah, I would.
We're
I would
still
do
putting
that
this
for
in the
manga.
episode, right?
What's up?
Because we haven't signed out yet.
No.
Oh, we should probably do. Yeah.
Instagram,
Bye.
Twitter, Facebook.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, you're the best.
Look at the time.
Thanks for listening. As always, definitely give us some love on Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah, and just go eat some ass.
Or don't. You don't have to.
Yeah. And
Blow your
remember, that's life.